On this episode of the Soul Twin Stars podcast.
My whole thing now, and you too, is breaking loops, not adding to them, not continuing to engage with them.
If I'm in a relationship with someone, we should try to make each other better. We should try to lift each other up.
We don't know what boundaries we want to keep in place if we haven't experienced what we really do and don't want.
You made choices, you knew what you wanted, what you wouldn't settle for.
Hi, I'm Lady Shadow, a witch with much to share, stirring the cauldron with magical self-care.
Hi, I'm Peaceful Nik, a medium divine. I chat with the dead and interpret every sign.
We are Soul Twin Stars, best friends through it all.
From spells to healing, we're answering the call.
From moon cycles to menopause and making peace with the dead.
We aren't afraid to talk about what's rarely said.
So tune in each week to get raw, real, and wise.
Let's talk about a spiritual life with absolutely no disguise. Welcome to the Soul Twin Stars podcast, Uninhibited Spirituality. We'd like to first thank this week's episode sponsors, Beans and Buttercream Bakery. They ship the most delicious baked goods anywhere. Follow them on their Facebook page, Beans and Buttercream Bakery. Also, Abernathy Photography, serving Western Kentucky and beyond, specializing in digital photography, weddings, and so much more. They now also feature drone photography. You can book them at abernathyphotography.com. And lastly, if you find yourself in Westchester County, New York, just north of New York City, Fino Restaurant in Croton-on-Hudson, New York, serves the most delicious, authentic Italian food. That's Fino Restaurant, Fino. And now, back to our episode.
Hello and welcome back to the Soul Twin Stars podcast. I'm Peaceful Nik the Medium, joined by the ever amazing Lady Shadow. How are you today?
Oh, Nik, thanks for asking. I'm great, but my poor husband has been going through something, and he went through vomiting and fighting a fever. He hasn't been sick in 3 years, but he's on the mend, so I've been doing the nurse thing. But other than that, everything is great. Listen, everybody has their weaknesses, which we're going to talk about in a second, because our whole podcast today is called Wrestling with Weaknesses. And everybody has them. We have them. We're going to talk about ours. But it's been a interesting 24 hours. But like I said, as long as one of us can take care of the other, we're good. So I'm happy. I'm grateful. How are you, darling?
I just had a crazy thunderstorm at my house right before I was like, I sure hope the Wi-Fi holds out.
Oh.
But I love thunderstorms and they energize me.
We are both obsessed with thunderstorms.
Absolutely. And I've been going to the pool. It's not warm enough to get in yet. Still sitting on the edge. That's been great. Went to Animal Kingdom this morning, but my plantar fasciitis, a weakness of mine, was so bad I was in tears. And so if anybody out there has some suggestions, I think I've tried everything. Please let me know. I even got a new pair of shoes. Didn't help. So
those are very tricky because for years, in my 20s, I worked on my feet as a waitress, carrying really heavy trays, and always on the right side because I'm right-handed. So on my right foot, I also had that for many years. But the only thing that healed my PF was literally not doing that work anymore and just giving it years of rest. And I don't know, I'm sure, like you said, somebody out there has some kind of awesome holistic solution to this. So if y'all do, please comment how to get rid of that or heal it faster. Mine took like 4 years to heal. It was awful. So I know the feeling.
It is a challenge. However, when I put it in cold water, it helps a lot. So I've been doing that. And I work a lot over the spring and summer months. So I will be resting it because I'll be at my desk a lot. So that's good. And it's hot outside, so I won't be going out.
Nick doesn't leave the house between April 1st and October 1st when she's in Florida.
Exactly. Unless it's like 7 a.m. and I have to go to the grocery store. Otherwise, I'm indoors. So yeah, everything's great. And I have a divine moment.
Oh, good.
There. My husband who said to me the other day, I made a reservation at a nice restaurant and I would like to dress up. He wanted to wear a suit. And I said, okay, I'll wear a dress. And so we get there, and it's kind of a funny story because he planned it ahead of time and I didn't know what he planned. And the hostess was so kind and everybody was so nice. And she said, oh, so you're celebrating your anniversary? I said, no, we're not.
Oh, I was wondering about that because I saw this on Facebook.
And so my
Just
anniversary,
go along with it.
I just thought she was making conversation. And my anniversary is not until May. And so I didn't know my husband was surprising me with an early anniversary dinner because we have all this family stuff, babies coming, first birthdays and traveling and all this stuff coming up. So he made this reservation for our anniversary and it was wonderful. I was like, no, it's not.
So funny.
Yeah.
So did they give you a free dessert?
Oh yes, it was 2 little cheesecakes with chocolate ganache. The writing was in chocolate ganache. Oh, it was so.
I recognized the dessert and I said, "Oh, that's the special occasion dessert."
It was so good. It was delicious.
That's hilarious.
The food was wonderful. The service, the ambiance, all of it. And Miss Bailey, she's coming in for your divine moment, Lady Shadow.
She's so divine every day. Just hanging out with her. I'm so lucky. Yeah, she came in to check on me. She's been hanging out with Daddy while he's on the mend. And I guess she wanted to check on her mama.
Such a sweetheart.
She's a great.
Yeah, my divine moment was this week. I have always many like you do, and I'm sure it's hard to pick, right? Because we try so hard to live in gratitude every day. But I would say that despite my poor husband not feeling well yesterday, it was a beautiful day up to that point. We had driven up to the barn to see my horse, and there's a little bit of grass coming in finally from the weather getting warm for 2 whole days last week. And my horse is kind of gaining back the few pounds that he lost in his winter gap months, being that it was so cold here, unusually cold in January and February. So pulling up to the barn and seeing my horse, looking better than last week, eating the grass that's coming in the pasture, which always changes things for us. We know the spring for the foraging, beautiful animals of our earth. So I was very happy about that. So just the little things, getting out in nature and being with my pets and being with those I love is the best. So.
Oh, I love animals. I love horses. I just love nature. Nature's so healing. And when we went to Animal Kingdom this morning, we got there right at opening before the spring breakers arrived. And they have this bird show with all these macaws, and there's like 50 of them flying around, and it was so beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah, if you ever go to Disney World, definitely go to Animal Kingdom if you want a place that's a little more serene.
Low key. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one park I've never been to. Animals in captivity. I know that they do a great job, and I know that we wouldn't be able to learn about them without the captivity and the entertainment part, so I get it. I've just never been big on the zoos or all of that. But because I'm lucky like you. I get to look out and see a lot of nature. I live also just outside of New York City with a nice half an acre of wetlands, and I've got a stream next to me. And so I see deer in my yard and, possums and raccoons and squirrels everywhere, chipmunks, so even the snakes come out. It is what it is. But I'm just grateful like you to be able to look outside and see all that nature everywhere.
Yes, and I agree there. I do have feelings about animals in captivity as well. I do like to go to places that have, rehabilitation centers for animals and breeding programs for endangered species and really promote, the final thing they say on the little safari ride, and that's the only place you can see the animals really, or a walkthrough, is, reduce, reuse, recycle. If you want to contribute to helping, different organizations, you can do that. And it's, they, by all, appearances, they are helping. And, if we boycotted everybody that was doing anything bad, we'd all be living in the woods.
Exactly. And there's always somebody that's going to find the worst in everything.
Right.
You know, those people that raise chickens over there, you know, which is a perfect thing to do, like to have your own chickens and eat your own eggs. But it's like, but they're noisy and they're filthy and I can smell them and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Always a hater in the world.
Right. Exactly. So we've got to find joy when we can, because we have so many vulnerabilities in this world. And when we have vulnerabilities, it can bring out our weaknesses.
Yep. So we are here to talk about wrestling with our weaknesses. And it's a given that we have to forgive ourselves for these moments. But we all have things that we're working on. Mm-hmm. And I think jumping into that topic just straight on, like in from the diving board, head first, it's that you don't have to wait for either something really good in your life or something really bad in your life to take a personal inventory, right? Like, right. I'm every day I work for myself, you know, and I work a lot from home until I'm out in the field. And I have more time to think about things in my life than the average person because I don't have children to raise. And there are breaks throughout the day where I can sit with my thoughts or jot down notes about a character that I'm developing in one of my plays. And you can't help but think about the world and people and art and your life moving forward without thinking about, well, how can I improve, mm-hmm. right? How can I make things easier for myself and for those around me? And how can I have a better attitude? And how can I have just a little bit more joy? And you know me, like I'm pretty happy-go-lucky most of the time, right? Yeah. And it's
very positive.
Yeah, and it's really my kind of go-to. But then, you know, I also am like you, very impatient, right? And so we've talked about this in other podcasts where my big thing is probably impatience.
Same.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about waiting for big things. I'm talking about in the small ways in life. Like,
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Like if I'm cooking chicken on the stove and hubby's a little too slow with mashing the cauliflower, you know, I'll be like, okay, I'm trying to time this just right. So you might want to speed up the mashing, you know.
Right. Because timing on dinner is very important.
And really it's
be ready at the same time.
I know, and it's really so stupid because it's the dumbest of things that I get impatient about. And so
same.
Yeah, so that's just one of many. But yeah, so we're going to talk about how we both healthily and not so healthily wrestle with our weaknesses, because it can really get you deep under the fence and dug in a little hard if you are too hard on yourself, but also if you don't acknowledge your responsibility in something for accountability, then mm-hmm. you know, that can give you a false sense of entitlement or a false sense of integrity, right? And so I'm always trying to live my best self, but I catch myself all the time screwing shit up, you know?
Oh, right.
But the great thing is you catch it as quick as possible, and the quicker the better, and then you don't have to drag on, you know, the pain of things or the frustration of things, because the last thing we want to do is swim with negative emotions, right? So, mm-hmm. But sometimes, you know, I mean, the world is in such a place, right? And it's not just the collective, it's our own, you know, all that affects our personal world too, right? Mm-hmm. So having to take on personal responsibility before collective responsibility is, I think, is a required step in there, right? Because that's how the ripple effect can begin to heal itself as a whole if we all take our little, you know, part of responsibility. So, and sometimes that's hard because you're in your ego, or you haven't seen the full picture yet, or we're not really sure how things feel from another person's point of view until it's really explained to us. So what do you do, Nick, when you are, if, for instance, if you have a little bickering with your husband, and like, how do you squash it quicker? how do you expedite the solution in your
Well,
relationship?
now that we've pre-celebrated our 30-year anniversary,
It's nothing but sex and love from here on out for the next 10 years, right?
that has changed over the years. Now we are both, my husband and I are both pretty fiery personalities. We're both very alpha. Neither of us will kowtow or bow down to the other one. And this is, especially early in our marriage, we both want to be right. We both want to prove our point. We both want to convince the other person that our point is right and their point is wrong, and they should agree with us and change their mind. I mean, that's been an issue because opinions really don't matter. Why am I trying to prove an opinion to somebody? It's an opinion.
True.
and so that part has, evolved. I have changed for me in the way of, if it's not something that's going to, like, if it's not buying a house or moving across the country or, some major decision, if it's some minor thing, I let a lot of stuff go, because why argue about something stupid? So this is not to say that I just let things go and let my husband walk all over me. I can hear the feminists screaming in the background. So I'm not just bowing down and letting my husband bulldoze me about anything. So don't anybody ever worry about that. That is never going to happen. I'm just picking the battles when they're necessary. And I don't even like to battle anymore, honestly. I don't like to argue with anybody. I think it's a waste of time because, as Neil deGrasse Tyson says, a fact is a fact no matter what you believe. And so I have stopped trying to prove my point to anyone who is committed to misunderstanding me, and to people who are willfully ignorant. They are just arguing for absolutely no reason except the sake of arguing. And I just don't engage in that anymore. If there's something really, really important that has to really, really be addressed, it is addressed. And I use wise mind, learned that in therapy, and not black and white thinking. And I try to listen to hear and not to respond, which often in relationships, we make the mistake of listening to respond. I try very hard to listen to hear and to be reasonable and to be calm. I don't raise my voice anymore. I used to yell and scream and argue and try to prove my point because I'm fiery. And I don't want to be walked over. And so I still don't want to be walked over, and I won't be walked over. I have just evolved the way I've handled those situations.
Yeah. And also what you were saying a minute ago about having your point of view and needing to, especially for the important people in your life that you love, needing to get your point across for your own integrity, right? For your own authenticity. But then there's also people who like a good debate, which is a whole different thing, because I love a good debate with my friends about, things that go on in the world. Like, what do you all think? We're not talking heated debate and then ends up in some fight and somebody walks out. I'm talking about just two good conversations, even if they're from the opposite ends of the spectrum, and so we can show each other different points of view. Then there comes a time, for instance, I had a family member a few weeks ago, that whole thing about being committed to misunderstanding, or rather being committed to somebody else's truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I have had to learn to let go so hard, is when my truth is being questioned, I want to defend it like the
Yes.
like my family, right? Because my truth is so important to me, more than the average person, right? Because my authenticity is everything. Like, I for me, it's if I don't have my authenticity and my health, those are two big ones. So if someone's going to
Right.
literally accuse me of saying something or doing something that I did not do, I feel like you, I have to defend it. But at the same time, if it's coming from somebody who is committed to absolutely not believing you, no matter what you say, then you just have to laugh about it, because you can't convince somebody of even your own truth if they're not willing to really hear you and look at it, right? And
Right.
so,
I will end relationships left and right, and I
oh
have many.
yes,
If someone cannot accept my authenticity and accept that I am who I am without shit talking me behind my back every second they get, or shit talking me to my face. And I'm not talking about difference of opinion. I'm talking about somebody just being mean,
yeah,
just being insulting because they don't like themselves.
right,
And that's the crux of it. When someone is being a mean girl, you know, the mean girl attitude, when somebody's being like that to you, and it can be a man, it doesn't have to be a woman. When somebody is being like that to you, like telling you you shouldn't be happy because nobody's that happy, that
hey,
that means
amazing.
that means
Sounds like several people I know.
right, that person is pretty miserable.
Yeah,
And as far as I'm concerned, if somebody is mad that someone else is happy, that tells a lot about how miserable they are. And I'm not going to not be happy because somebody doesn't want me to be happy.
well, and
That's ridiculous.
somebody else's misery is not my business,
Right.
right?
And
So
you can't make them not miserable. You can
no,
do everything for a person. You can be everything they want you to be. You can do all these things. They're still not happy. And they
right,
still will insult you.
right. And we all know where that comes from,
Yeah.
projection and all. But for the stuff on my side that I've had to learn to carry or unburden, sometimes I'm too quick to release any responsibility on my side. But if it's true, absolutely. Like, I mean, it's true. And if it hurts and it's true, I'm eventually always going to say, this was my shit, right? I just needed time to let my ego let go of what I think is better right to hide than to admit something, so that I don't look like a fool, right? Nobody wants to look like a fool. But if I know deep down that my truth is my truth, and then somebody is blatantly questioning exactly the facts on my mind, how they happened, and there's no penetrating, I still allow people sometimes to get to me, but
Of
not
course,
again.
everybody does.
Yeah,
Everybody has their moments.
everyone has their moments, but I've been able to expedite getting
Yes.
out of those so much faster. Where, like we were talking about this in another podcast, where, when we go through a conflict with a friend or a family member, and we would get on the phone with each other, and you talk about it for hours and hours and hours, so everyone's so exhausted, and then the next day you get on the phone with another friend and you do it for hours, because this is like all before
Right.
the internet, or you could like talk to your ChatGPT about it, or some other resource that you're not going to keep up from getting up in the morning, going to work and functioning because of your drama, right?
Right.
So now
Right.
that we're older, I feel like I can outsource these feelings of disdain when they're triggered, especially if it's not mine to process, it's somebody else putting their stuff on me.
Yes.
What's cool is that, so I can flip it over so much faster, and not because there's ChatGPT or other friends to talk to, or even my husband I could wake up in the middle of the night and go over something with, but because of my relationship with my higher self. So I talk to my higher self, or my godly self, or my Christ mind, or whatever, however we want to define it. And whatever feels peaceful inside, that's my resolve, because you can talk about it all day with other people until you feel the peace and it clicks. So instead of burdening other people over and over and listening to myself tell somebody something over and over again, and I'm just reliving the pain of it, which is kind of dumb, I'm learning to maybe talk about it with one or two people just to get perspective. Hey, show me if I'm wrong here. How can I self-correct? And then I go for the, I go for that higher relationship with my Christ mind, my God, my higher self, whatever it is. And then I pull down the peace and the forgiveness, which is super important. And
Right.
for the clarity, I always ask for clarity and gratitude with it so that I can look at it clearly and then evaluate a new feeling and then just keep replacing. I kind of keep doing that until I've come to the conclusion of whatever it is that I have to fix. And I always realize, oh, okay, well, either there's an apology to be made to someone else, an apology to be made to myself, or there's the Facebook block button. So there are several different ways to handle a situation that is brought on by other people. And again, you just have to use your discernment. But it's hard because we are so hard on ourselves. You and I both work in a field where we have such high expectations for ourselves first.
Right.
Nobody that has higher expectations than ourselves for us, right? And we
Right.
have set this bar really high for ourselves. And I feel like sometimes that bar kind of creeps in to some of my relationships, and then I set the bar too high for other relationships too.
Yes.
And then I'm like, okay, I can't ask them or he or she to meet me there because they're not capable of doing that. But I thoroughly enjoy that person's company, their sense of humor, their ethics, their morals. And so I've learned to just say, I can be here for myself and I can hold this for somebody else who I really love. And it can go like this all day long. That's great. I can compromise. I can accept my weaknesses, somebody else's weaknesses, love them anyhow. But what I will not accept, like you said, is the difference when it gets into gaslighting, manipulation, people who are scapegoating you. We know the difference between
The Darvo.
we know the difference when the barn door is being shut because of somebody's opinion. They're not, like you said, they're not hearing, they're not listening. They just want to believe what they want to believe. And someone who is genuinely affectionate for you and cares about your life and loves you. And now because we're all built with a bullshit filter, right?
Right.
Not
I
only
mean,
for ourselves,
74 million Americans are.
Exactly. So it's a daily
or
thing,
80, whatever it was.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's, you just have to know the difference. And nobody has the answers for anybody. Everything is subjective in this world.
Yes.
Every perspective is subjective. So there's no one answer that fits all. And I love Mel Robbins' let them theory to an extent, but then there's also, not everything fits in that umbrella perfectly.
Right.
Which a lot of people have brought up recently.
There's a therapist, Therapy Jeff, he talks about it. He can't stand her. And I'm like, calm down, it's okay. I want to go back to a couple of points you made. First of all, you said, a lot of things are subjective. That was the last thing you said. And a lot of things are subjective. But when it comes to hurt, my own hurt, your own hurt, that is not subjective. That is non-negotiable. If I feel hurt, I'm actually hurt. I'm not going to tell somebody I'm hurt by them, like somebody hurt my feelings. Maybe they'll explain it to me and then I'll be like, oh, I just totally misunderstood that and took that personally, which I shouldn't have done. But I still can feel hurt, right? And that's actually something that happens to everybody. Everybody feels hurt at some point. And then you talked about expectations and accountability. And when we have high expectations, I have the same expectations of other people to be kind to me the way I am kind to them. Right? Like, I'm not a person like that buys a lot of things for people. First of all, I'm a little frugal. Secondly, what if they don't like it? and then I don't want to waste the money, right? But I'll check in, I'll text, I'll call, I'll send video messages, I'll do all that stuff. I'll check in a million times. So my expectation is the people who claim to be my friends, family, and loved ones should check in too, because that's my love language, right? And so sometimes our expectations are not met by other people. And it's like, that can be painful, right? It can be very painful. And so there's also taking accountability. And I have had that weakness in the past where I took a very long time to start taking accountability for when I hurt somebody because I was convinced I was right about my opinion. And shockingly, I wasn't always right about my opinion.
Yeah.
And that
you find that out a lot, right? Definitely.
That's really hard to come to terms with when you realize, oh, I made mistakes. Damn. And part of the explanation for that is it's a defense mechanism from trauma. And so because I essentially raised myself and had zero guidance, zero positive guidance anyway, from any adults in my life, and always I was hurt by somebody somewhere along the line constantly, I'm not whining about my poor, pitiful life. I'm just saying that this is a defense mechanism, a coping mechanism a lot of people have because almost everybody has some kind of trauma. I was just very protective of how I felt about things. And so if I felt a certain way, I felt like that's it. That's how it is. Nobody can tell me otherwise because I wasn't given any tools to learn any better.
Agreed.
And I had to learn that in my early 50s. That's a long time.
And I think that as we go through life, we pick up tools one at a time. Like at a very young age, I learned what I wanted to do with my life. And I wasn't going to compromise on that. I knew early, like 6, 7, 8, I want to be a writer. I want to be
that's wonderful.
someone who tells stories, not just stories fictional, but I want to tell my stories. I want to show people how I see the world and explain it with fun language, and I also wanted to do that honestly because a lot of people will write with a filter or hide behind fiction, or even hide behind nonfiction.
Right.
I know plenty of people like that. But I just always had this authentic way of seeing the world. And I grew up in a very interesting place in Virginia City, Nevada. I don't know I'm sure a lot of you have been there, have heard of it. So it's a very colorful, very alive, but also fascinating to be raised in such a place where there are so many colorful, larger than life characters and so much rich history there, from the silver mining and the gold rush, the way that legal prostitution was born. So much took place in that area. The mining that they did went straight to San Francisco when they were building the city out.
That's why the 49ers are named the 49ers, because the 1849 gold rush.
Yep. There
anybody wonders, I'm a Niner fan.
Leave it to the sports history girl to cover that one for us.
I'm certainly weak on U.S. history.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I love that you love what you love, girlfriend. And I love that our start happened in the very city we're talking about. When you know certain things about yourself, you do have to stand by certain things and you have to fight for those qualities in you that are special, that are unique, and that are absolute, no throwbacks, full passion, no compromises. My stubbornness in the same way that I can apply that for, well, I'm not going to settle for this, for, you know, a half-ass husband, a half-ass career, a half-ass job. That stubbornness also, when I'm trying to get a simple task done and I have to be somewhere and something's not fitting, my stubbornness says, I'm going to stay here and be late to that thing so I can get this to be fit just right, or finish this task over here. Meanwhile, if I'm late, I'm affecting somebody else's timeline, and that's rude and irresponsible. And so I don't like doing that either. And I'm cognizant of it, but my stubbornness sometimes says, no, my stubbornness comes first. Or like in the case of a spousal argument, you know, I never look for arguments. My husband is super easygoing, but I do like a clean house. I'm overly clean and organized. And I know that you're a little bit more into, I want to leave the stuff where I want to leave it, so it's there. Super organization is not as important to you as it is to your husband, right? So we're switched.
Well, I would say this. I'm very clean, but yes. I don't get mad if there's like my office is my office and I keep it the way I want it. There's not piles of garbage in here.
Right.
My home is clean. My toilets are scrubbed.
You're not dirty.
My floors are mopped.
Yeah.
But a little pile of laundry that sits there for a couple of days is not going to bother me at all. I won't even think about it. It won't bother me. My husband, on the other hand, I will tell you, this is the God's honest truth. I would swear on a stack of every Bible or quantum physics book you want me to. See what I did there?
Yeah.
I have never, ever had to pick up a single thing after him.
Really?
Not a sock, not a shirt, nothing. Absolutely. I've never had to clean up after him.
That's so interesting.
I've never had to wipe up the counter after he left a mess, ever. Never.
Oh, I would love to trade places with you for one day.
He's very, very clean. He wants everything in its place. And so, his brother David was the same way.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. There's a difference between dirty and messy, right? Messy is just someone who can handle, and even I can handle a little bit of clutter here and there because it's just been a busy weekend and I'll get to it. And it will literally take 5 minutes to put these things back to their spot. But like, I will sit here and look at the tiniest little thing on the wall and say, I need to touch up that paint. There's a little chip over there, down there on that baseboard.
Oh, that won't bother me.
There's some dirty baseboards down there. I need to clean. Like the stupidest things sometimes get into my OCD clean brain, and it drives me insane. And that is one of my things too, is that my husband's more like relaxed and we'll get to it. And I'm like, no, but I can't function. This is my workspace. But again, arguing about stupid shit. That's another one. One of my weaknesses is like, I have to stop and remember none of this really matters in the world because it's who cares if there's a couple of extra shirts on the couch. And if I want them picked up and he's not going to pick them up, then it will take me 5 seconds. If I'm going to tell him, hey, it only takes 5 seconds to pick up your laundry off the floor or off the couch, then it will take me 5 seconds. So I just bend down and spend the extra calories and I'll just do it. It's fine because we each compromise on our strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
And sometimes the other person just has to do it. Like, you know, the poor guy has been in bed all day and he was so sick last night. And so, you know, all of my needs, just like you, when you're a mom, they go out the door because you got to take care of somebody. And I love that because he would do the same for me. You know, like if I have one of my dizzy spells, God forbid, or, you know, he is right there to get me anything I need. He would go out and do the laundry and do the grocery shopping and cook the dinner just the same. So I love that we can, in the end, come together and be of service for each other, even with the blips, like you were saying, of, well, should I clean it today or should I clean it tomorrow? Well, I mean, in the end, it's really not that important. And it's just so funny how our stupid egos blow things up to where they don't need to be. But like you say, in our old age, and you and I talk on the side about all these things in our friendship, when things happen, the best way to squash the tension is to just deal with them right away, head on, as quickly as possible. get it all out and then move on to a better joyous moment. And I know I let go of a lot of shit much quicker. I mean, like I said, I just had an issue with someone 2 weeks ago, and coming at me and wanting to gossip and wanting to get involved, and nefarious verbal verbiage. And I wouldn't participate.
Right.
I hate that shit now.
That's what pisses people
And
off.
it pisses this person off, exactly, because
when you refuse to engage, and that takes me back to something I said earlier. Some things I'm just not going to engage in because it's not worth why would I engage in something you're trying to drag me into?
Exactly.
I don't have the energy. I'm working at least 100 hours a week right now.
Exactly. That's the problem.
I don't have the
time.
energy.
There's no time for that shit.
For an argument about is the cut pink or is it fuchsia? Like, who cares?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And so that's another thing. You have to know yourself enough to say, is this battle worth it? Is this friendship or this family member worth the work and worth the fight and the strife and the explaining? My whole thing now, and you too, is breaking loops, not adding to them, not continuing to engage with them. And when you break these loops, you have a little bit of a breakthrough more and more. And my goal is to have as many breakthroughs as I can, and to try and be the best person that I can be, even though we're not perfect, even though it's a daily struggle with every little thing, like between all the expectations that you expect of the earth, you expect the sun to rise, you expect the weather to be good, you expect, your clients to pay your invoices on time. And it just doesn't always work that way. So the best thing we can do is, like you say, change ourselves, change our perspective, and just say no to certain things and keep our boundaries in place. But we don't know what boundaries we want to keep in place if we haven't experienced what we really do and don't want in relationships in the first place. So we have to go through them to figure it out,
Yeah. And when it comes to family members or loved ones or friends in your life that may have been in your life, your whole life or half your life, doesn't matter. When it comes to people who are sucking your energy out more than they're adding. So it's like this. My opinion is this. If I'm in a relationship with someone, we should try to make each other better. We should try to lift each other up, whether it's you and I, and we definitely challenge each other. We definitely help each other grow and improve. And that's what a friendship should be. Not, oh, I'm riding on your coattails because I'm trying to get to Broadway, so I'm going to be your friend. Right. That's not what a friendship's supposed to be.
Yeah.
We've been friends long enough to know, I'm not trying to get to Broadway. So.
But I would take you there if I did have more than one in. I mean, there is something to be said for not nepotism directly, but the play that I'm writing right now that I'm doing on April 13th, quite frankly, I've cast my friends because we all believe in the material together, and I don't have time to cast. Well, let me just put my friends in it, because then we can all rehearse together and we'll have a fun time. And we have a short amount of time to do this. So it's not that I do this every time, but I mean, when you can work with your friends, you do work with your friends. Why not? Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
So I would take you to Broadway.
Okay. Thank you. I can take my crystal ball. I can take my crystal. But you know what I mean? Like in any relationship, whether it's a husband and wife, like you were saying, you and Chris, you complement each other. You have strengths. He has strengths. You have weaknesses. He has weaknesses. And it's the same with my husband and I. I have strengths in this area. He has strengths in this area. Like I've told him many times, God, if I was a single mother and I had to raise two boys, they would have never stepped a foot on a baseball field or a basketball court or a football field. I wouldn't have really known what to do with all of that stuff. Like I was raised with all girls. Like I didn't know any boy stuff. And I'm like, thank God they had a sporty, athletic dad to teach him all that boy stuff. Because I would have just been like, here's an art class. And I probably would have taken him to martial arts, though. But anyway, So yeah, we complement each other. And you should be in relationships where people are lifting you up, not dragging you down. If you have a friend or family member or even your romantic partner who you feel so drained by being with them, it's time to reevaluate that relationship and restructure it to the best of your ability, because everyone's in a different situation. Not everybody can just walk away from a friendship, a marriage. Maybe you live with your dad and he's disabled and you're caring for him. Not everybody can just walk out the door. So there are circumstances, but there are boundaries you can put in place and set up an exit plan. And definitely do your best not to let people drag you down. And if you can, step away from relationships that make you feel terrible about yourself after spending time with them, or somebody's saying you shouldn't post happy things on social media because nobody believes it. That's a person that does not have your best interest at heart. And that's a person who is miserable on the inside and wants to make you miserable like them so they can feel better about themselves.
I love the life I've had and the choices I have made because I have made the choices I have.
You ever since I met you in 91, around there, you have created the life you have with every choice you've made very
concise. Precisely. That's right.
Ever since the day I met you, you were on a mission. You had a purpose. You made choices. You knew what you wanted and you knew what you wouldn't settle for, and you knew what you wouldn't allow in your life. And you've stuck to it better than anybody I know.
Oh, well, thank you. And you too, Nick, especially with your new career. It's freaking amazing. What I was going to say about that. And because I'm in this place with my life, I want to see other people thrive and flourish and not just survive. And that's why we do this podcast. Sometimes you and I, we're tired, and everybody, the podcast doesn't end with just recording this for an hour. We have to edit. We have to upload it in different places. We have to add show notes. It's a thing. It's a commitment. Mm-hmm. Neither one of us are getting paid big bucks. So I'll tell you that. We're here because we feel like hopefully we can touch somebody's lives with our perspectives. Just like anybody has a podcast for that reason, right? And I want to see you guys thrive and flourish. And when I go on my social media, I can tell you, I don't want to see doom and gloom from any of my friends or the news. I don't want to see that somebody's suffering or hurting or scared. Overall, it helps me if I am seeing positive things.
Right.
So I get happy when people are traveling or are getting married or are going to a really cool fancy restaurant like Ruth Chris and having a delicious steak dinner and posting beautiful pictures of the dessert. I think that's amazing because I'm in a place where I love myself. I love my life. I love my family and my friends. And so I want more of that for everybody I know. But for people who don't take in the world that way, you're free to mind your own business in your own negativity. That's totally fine.
I have a quick example of something similar. Probably 4 years ago or so, I was out at a dinner with some loved ones, and one of them said, Nicole is a scientist, and Nicole is an artist, and Nicole is a medium, and she's all these things. And it was like some kind of smart ass comment. I'm like, yeah, I am all those things.
You are all those things.
And you know what? I earned every single one of those things by myself. Nobody did any of that for me. I paid for my college degrees by myself. I learned art. I'm not a trained artist. I just paint for fun, and I do sell some paintings, but it's not like I'm some famous artist. And I am a trained medium and a certified medium. So when somebody says something so snarky like that, it's like, well, maybe you should ask yourself, why does it bother you? So if you're insulting someone else, you should look inward and say, why does this bother me? Is there a weakness in me that I need to address? Because it's always about themselves. It's never about you, unless you like did something to harm somebody. That's a different story. But all this mean girl stuff, the meddling, the family drama, the friend drama, the shit talking, all of that is about the person saying it.
Yeah. And insult for insult's sake and not for any other purpose is a direct reflection of somebody's own insulting behavior upon themselves,
Yeah.
which deserves empathy, frankly.
Right.
But when people are doing it out of spite, like it's literally out of spite, you have to be so careful with people that have that much vitriol that would want to spite someone else that way, who have done just living their life with no provocation, and all of a sudden it's just the venom is flying across the room just because they have extra venom.
Because they're angry. Or speaking of weddings, and we both have this experience, our parents having plenty of time to come to our wedding, but chose not to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. It's, no one thinks about the long-term consequences of decisions when they are made through spite or haste or with clearly their own jealous intentions. It's, and we can't really crawl into somebody's brain unless they tell us like what motivations are for how or why people treat us the way they do. We're just allowed to say, this is the behavior. This is what I'm going to do to counteract your behavior. And whether it's self-protection, preservation, or setting a boundary, or because a lot of us take a lot of shit before we say no more. Right?
Oh, yes.
So, and it's usually not the first offense. There are several offenses and it just like piles up and it's like, okay, I'm done. And that's okay to do. Listen, we're in a world where every single human on the planet has an ego. And most of us, even those that are working on ourselves, still have an ego that is in our way every day, gets in my way every day. Like I take it aside sometime and say, back the fuck off. I'm listening to my higher self today. We're operating from the higher self, not the lower self. But every single person on this planet has an ego. So naturally, people are going to come in, go out, be mean, be loving, be kind, be confused. I mean, it's just a mishmash of crazy human emotions just being thrown around everywhere. And the best you can do is the best you can do. Just again, you have to just filter it through honesty, integrity, authenticity, and with as much peace and joy as you can. There's no rule book on how to be a perfect human or even a shit human.
And that's why we do this podcast, to help people figure out we're just people who are trying to get through the world just like you.
Yeah.
And so we're giving you nuggets of wisdom. If something resonates, wonderful. I hope it helps, really sincerely. If it doesn't, just don't, pass on it, and maybe somebody else it'll help. I want to say something about the ego. Most people fear death to some degree. And part of that is, I would say a big part of that is the ego doesn't want to die.
Yes.
And the ego dies with the body.
Yep.
The soul has no ego.
No ego. Everything is out in the open on the other side.
Right. And there's no ego, and it's pure love. And when we learn to love ourselves authentically, love ourselves, flaws and all, love ourselves, even if we've made mistakes in the past and done things we may choose differently to do now, or just didn't know that what we were doing wasn't the correct decision at the time, which honestly, everything ends up leading you to where you are. But when people are mistreating you, love yourself enough to know that you are worthy of proper treatment and you don't have to have them in your life, and love yourself enough to know if you mistreated yourself, which many people do, psychologically, the negative thoughts, addiction, promiscuity, whatever, if that's something that you feel like you did wrong, which, no judgment on any of those things here, but love yourself enough to forgive yourself for what you didn't know better that you were doing until later.
Exactly. And sometimes it takes somebody else to point it out.
Yes.
And if we find out,
Chelsea Handler told a great story about that. She, I love Chelsea Handler. I think she's great. She's a great voice for women in this generation. I don't agree with every single thing she says, but overall, I think she has a great voice for the things she's trying to put out there. And she's child free by choice, which
which I love and admire. Yes,
she has she likes to party, and she likes to be a mouth and say whatever she wants. And she was at Jane Fonda's, or some party where Jane Fonda was, a couple of years ago. And after the party, Jane Fonda called her, and they weren't necessarily friends, but they knew each other from Hollywood, I guess. And Jane Fonda asked her to come to her house. And she said, she told her, "Girl, you acted a fool."
Wow.
Jane Fonda told her, "You acted terribly. You need to get it together." Right. That's not that, if you want to have a good life and help people, you can't go around acting like that. Like, get some self-control.
Yeah. You have to, I mean, we all have to take our best accountability. That's all we can do. And just, again, just by taking some time to reflect, even if somebody has treated you bad, especially if you've treated somebody else bad, a little reflection, does a body good.
Right. And like you just said, sometimes you don't know until somebody calls you out on it.
Right. You don't know. But just know the difference between somebody gaslighting you and calling you out.
Right. Discern between, is this person trying to control what I'm doing for their benefit, or is this person trying to help me be better? Like I said earlier, you and I make each other better. Right? 100%. Is this person trying to make me better, or is this person trying to tear me down because they want to feel better?
Right.
There's a difference.
And what better way to do that than to gossip? Because gossiping is the number one way that people can just feel like their life is just not as bad. Yeah. There's a rabbi who talks about this, the danger of gossip, and he does such great talks on this. But gossip is up there with one of the most harmful sins as anything. And really, that if everybody gossiped less, it would just be such a different planet. It's
100% ego. Eckhart Tolle also talks about that. Gossip is of the ego, because you're sharing news that other person doesn't have, which most of the times it's sprinkled with lies, or opinions, which are not truth. People will talk about other people to make themselves feel better.
Right.
Like I told you, a person I'm related to told a story about me from when I was a teenager from 40 years ago in front of a bunch of other people, including young children. That was really terrible.
Yes.
And it's like, what have you done for 40 years that you're still telling a story about something that happened when I was a teenager? Like, get a life. Like, come on.
And listen, shit comes up, but what are you trying to achieve with the information? Just ask yourself that before you go any further.
Right. If you're trying to achieve somebody, I'm a better person than that person. And that's the thing. When people who supposedly love us are talking about us behind our back, it's because they want people to like them more. Don't like that person because that person's happy. Don't like that person because that person has a boundary. Don't like that person because that person lives independently. Don't like that person for this reason, that like me because I have all the super secret information, and I'm going to tell you all kinds of discombobulated lies about this person that I made up in my head to make them look bad so I look good.
Yeah.
And on that note,
we're going to stop gossiping.
We are going to work very hard to stop gossiping. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on another adventure on the Soul Twin Stars podcast. We love you all. everyone is on a journey. Everyone is trying their best. Just keep your chin up, love each other, lift each other up, and always keep up your boundaries.
Amen, girlfriend. Love you. Love everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you so much for joining us this episode for the Soul Twin Stars podcast. Find us on our podcast Facebook page for Magical Mondays live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, where we will help you magically slay your weekdays, and for awesome giveaways. For more information about what other spiritual things Nik and I do and offer, visit peacefulnikthemedium.com. That's Nik with just a K. Or to connect with me, Lady Shadow, soulsandspirits.com is the place to go. If you want to be a guest on one of our shows, we would absolutely love that. Contact us at soultwinstars@gmail.com. See you next Friday on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Facebook, and on YouTube. Sending you all so many blessings. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, know that you are all cherished.